Welcome to Jefferson County Post Sports with Mike Stanley. I'm Mike Stanley, and our guest today is head basketball coach at the high school, Coach Poore. Chris, thanks for coming on with us, man.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Today, we're going to start things off a little different with an achievement of a Jefferson County legend. Coach David Holland, former Jefferson County head baseball coach, was inducted into the Tennessee Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame last weekend. I had the chance to catch up with David Holland at his home earlier this week. I'm here today with former Jefferson County High School baseball coach and 2014 Tennessee Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame inductee, Coach David Holland. David, thanks for allowing us to come into your home today.
Thank you for coming.
Coach, about the Hall of Fame ceremony and you being inducted into the Tennessee Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame, even this will be your 11th year out of coaching. Even a decade after the fact, you're still garnering these awards. What does that mean to you?
Well, I really didn't expect it, and as I told the Coaches Association, that I really was unworthy. It really is more the baseball players themselves and my assistant coaches that sort of kept me on the track. It really means a lot. I know most coaches would like for that to happen to them, but it's very unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Most of us will never be allowed to participate in a ceremony such as that. What was the ceremony itself like through the eyes of David Holland? Well,
the number of people there was, to me, sort of startling. There were over 500 people there. Had a meal and then the ceremony, and it was well organized by the TBCA, and I thought it was a real good ceremony.
Mm-hmm. You were inducted with Alvin Taylor from just up the road here in Clinton. He was coach there for 35 or so years.
Yes.
Did the two of your teams ever collide on the diamond?
Oh yes, both he and Bud Adams, who was also inducted, we played both of them. Mm-hmm. And he has a philosophy similar to mine. You play the better team so that you can get better. And he always had a good team, and so did Bud Adams.
Yeah. We talked a little bit before. The players, your former players, such as Andy Chrisman at Cott County, of course Gaines here at Jefferson County, and Zach, his assistant, and of course the Cagle boys in Georgia, them electing to follow in your footsteps and become head baseball coaches, what does that mean to you, knowing that you played a major part in their lives as young adults, and then of course now?
It really makes you feel like you've accomplished something in life when you carry it on. And I'm sure that if some of the coaches who coached me were around today, they also would feel like that they had a part in it, and I feel like I still have a part in coaching. It's still ongoing.
Mm-hmm. From day one, when you first started coaching baseball until now, I know that you're at the high school many times a year during baseball season. How has the game changed through your eyes from day one until now?
Well, I think it's become a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more technical. Instead of having an athlete who plays 4 sports like took place when I first started, today you've got them, they single out on one sport, and it's a year-round work.
Mm-hmm. Are the players maybe faster, maybe a little bigger, a little stronger than maybe they were back when you first started?
Oh, definitely. again, on that specialization, they go to baseball camps. They have weights themselves at home, and plus the weights that we have at school, and they want to get better. They really feel like it's necessary to do all these extra things so that they can compete.
The field house at Jefferson County is named after yourself. Where does that rank as far as rewards for your coaching career there at Jefferson County?
Well, that is quite an accomplishment, because that is something I wanted for the boys in Jefferson County. And when it was built, my concept was anybody who lived in Jefferson County was should be able to use that complex.
Going back to some former players, you had the opportunity to coach professional athletes such as Richard Rundles and others. When those players came through the program at Jefferson County, they are exceptional players. Were there things that maybe you learned from those players as far as how to coach exceptional players?
I think that what you have to do is let them do what they can do, and then sort of sharpen up the things that you see that they need to sharpen up on. But pretty much they know what they want to do. They have a pretty good goal in mind, and they're going to work on it. I learned something from every player. To make a difference who it is, I could learn. They taught me a whole lot more than I believe I taught them.
Yeah. Gaines, of course, being at the high school now, one of your former players, of course, Zach Reese being there as well. What do you like about Gaines Cox that he brings to the Jefferson County baseball program?
Gaines, like myself, loves baseball. He loves young people. He loves to see people improve and get better. Same is true for Zach and who was the other one?
Langdon.
I forgot Langdon. Langdon was a super second baseman, and of course when he went to Carson he played shortstop. But Langdon still has the same demeanor today that he had when he played second base.
Yeah. He
was a really go-getter.
Yeah. If you could speak to players and coaches nowadays, not necessarily just at Jefferson County, but throughout the country, you've been around the game for so long now. What are some words of advice that you would give coaches first, and then players second?
Well, one thing that coaches need to do is they need to care about the athlete, and the athlete being a student. If you don't pass, you don't play. So they need to know that what they're doing today in the classroom as well as on the baseball field is going to help them somewhere down the road in the game of life. Baseball itself is so similar to what happens to you every day. Sometimes you get pepper ground balls, sometimes you get easy rollers, sometimes you make errors, you sometimes strike out, you get base hits, you win and you lose. So it's so true in life, and if you can carry over or transfer over from one to the other, it would be fantastic. I would like to say one thing about my college coach, Sam Frosty Holt. I learned quite a bit from him, and one thing I learned from him is that the old saying, winners are winners, no matter what. You win some and you lose some. And he taught me that even though you lose a ball game, you still can be a winner. So winning is not necessarily who comes out on top, but it's what you add to the game and what the game itself can give to you. Coach Holt was a tremendous coach. He cared for all of his athletes. He taught me a lot about the game of life itself because of the game of baseball. And he's not around, but I would like to thank him for giving me an opportunity. And by watching him and copying his philosophy of life, it has really helped me become a better person and a better coach.
Well, Coach, thank you again for allowing us to come to your home again today. It was an honor getting to speak with you today, and I wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of your retirement.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach David Holland, for your dedication to Jefferson County baseball for nearly 25 years. Moving forward now into basketball, Chris, the girls team with a heck of a game against West. It seems like anytime those two teams get together that you're going to have a good ball game.
It was a good ball game. They've had a good year this year. They've had a good season as a start after a super finish as of late last year. And that girls team comes out and competes, and to watch them get ready for a big game against West, that was a pretty fun night.
With Alexandria hitting the shot with 4 seconds left, I know the boys are in the tunnel watching the game, getting ready to come out. How big of a boost is that? Although it's not your game,
right,
but for that to end the way it did.
Well, we enjoyed watching our girls have a successful year. We watched them from the game, and we saw them lose a little bit of a lead they had late, and to see them come back and score that winning bucket just, excited our guys right before we went on the floor. And that was awesome to see. I don't know if you noticed our guys jumping around right when she made that bucket, and they were as excited as some of the girls were as they come off the floor, giving them high fives, and that's a neat thing to see.
Yeah. Last night, of course, Morristown East came to town, and it was the same type of ball game. Morristown East was able to defeat them earlier on in the season by a narrow margin, and Jefferson County really just came out and asserted themselves early, and it was,
Right. When we went up there and played them, I didn't think that we had the best game or gave the best effort that we could have given. And I still thought we were a better basketball team. Coach Center, I know he felt that he had a team that should have performed a little bit better that night, and things worked out in their favor. And I was confident in our girls' team after their week of preparation they were going to come out ready to play.
Yeah. Fast forward now, this week they have Seymour coming to town and Cobb County as well. Seymour, the game was close at halftime. The girls were able in the second half to kind of separate themselves a little bit from them. What do you think that Coach Center and Coach Manus are going to have to do to maybe get the most out of their girls moving forward as tournament time comes?
Well, our girls are in a position where they control their own destiny in the conference. And that's what you want this late in the season. You want to be the one in control of your season. If they win out, they win the conference outright, and you want to be in the driver's seat. You don't want to depend on other teams losing, rely on teams getting upset late in the year. And our girls are in that position. So, there's going to be a focus to getting the job done and closing this season out, and they can do that.
Yeah. I know last night Seymour was actually able to upset Cobb County in girls play last night. So the Seymour game, on paper, at this point in the season, kind of looks to be maybe more tough.
Well, I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to roll with our girls because I know that when our girls play confidently and they play to their potential and they play at home, they're a tough team to beat. And they've got weapons, and they're going to put that together and finish strong. And the way that they've played in certain ball games last night, you saw glimpses of a team that's going to be hard to beat down the road. And if they can continue to play like they are, it's going to be a team that not many people want to face.
Yeah, I agree. If they're able to knock down the outside shot, much like they did last night, they're going to be a hard out for anybody come tournament time.
Yes.
Now, Cobb County comes to town on Friday night. Of course, Michael Wester for Cobb County, she's their player. Yeah. As she goes, Cobb County normally goes. You being a coach, how do you stop a player of a high caliber like that when you're coming into a ball game and that's something that you're going to have to do?
Well, she is a great player, and she's been their player for years, and they depend on her a lot. But our girls, can get defensive stops. They play team defense. They don't rely on one girl to lock one girl down. It's a team effort of getting those stops. And they can do just that. Frustrate her, get her out of her game, and not let her have an unbelievable night. She's going to get her numbers. Not to let the other teams beat them, but just to get out there and outperform them, and they're going to get the job done.
Yeah. Now we're going to switch sides to your team, the boys basketball team, who had an unbelievable week versus Morristown West and Morristown East. Against Morristown West, you guys were able to really just take advantage of their youth and maybe their lack of size down low and come out victorious.
Right. Morristown West is sort of had a rough year in injuries. You know, they lost probably their best scorer in Jones early in the season. They had some other players with injuries and in and out of the season, and never really have gotten a group together that have been able to play together. And that youth, you know, a lot of times with that youth, you don't handle pressure very well. And that's one of the benefits of our basketball teams. We can put some pressure on the guards, extend into the full court. And when you do that to a team and they can't get any type of confidence in running an offense, it can be a long night. Yeah. And we did that. We established that defensive presence early. They struggled against the pressure, and we were able to just keep them in that regard.
Yeah, in that game, you know, a lot of the younger guys got on the floor and actually made plays. You know, you and I talked after the game, and that's something that you want to see happen. How important is that moving forward for a basketball team in the future for those young guys to get that?
It's always good when your young kids come in and give you energy. They come in and play hard, and they come in and play with passion. You know, regardless of what the score is at that point or what's transpired earlier in the game, to get that effort out of those guys is really neat. And the group of young guys that we have that got those minutes have a lot of pride. You know, they come in and day out and work, regardless of how many minutes they're going to get the following night. And, you know, that's something to be said for those guys and their effort. And to see them go in and actually perform very well was a good sign for the future, but it was also, you know, just a refreshing time for us as coaches to look at them and be happy for them.
Yeah. Now, fast forward to the East game last night. Of course, that was a game that everybody had marked on their schedule. You guys, the fans, you know, pretty much everybody. And last night's game, you guys really made a statement and were really the talk of the conference and the area last night, even from the Knoxville media markets.
Well, there was a lot of attention and build-up for that game, and there was a lot that went into it. You know, the last time we went up to Morristown East and they were able to come back on us and beat us there, left a sour taste in our mouth. And, you know, for this group of guys, didn't lose a conference game last year. You know, that played a big part into their mindset coming into the game. And we've been playing better as of late since that game. And, you know, Morristown East was behind the 8 ball in a lot of regards. They come into the game shorthanded, injury plagued from a couple different angles. And we had probably the biggest crowd that I've seen in a very long time and a lot of energy. You know, that place was rocking. And if you weren't there, you're not going to know what that experience was. And, you know, the loss propelled with the injury, with the crowd, the student section, you know, you can go on and on and on. Our road season, you know, there's a lot of build-up in that game. We didn't talk about it. We didn't jump past games. We didn't look into the future. We took game by game and mission by mission, but you could always sense that game was approaching. Yeah. And I knew that this week, that when we got past West and on Wednesday, I knew we would have ultimate attention and focus on that game. So there was a lot of build-up that went into it, probably more so than most games, and those guys wanted to go out there and compete. And I mean, from everybody involved in the whole situation, everybody competed. You know, our subs went in the fourth quarter and outscored them in the fourth quarter even. Yeah. So those guys, like you said, those young guys, they don't get many minutes sometimes, but when they went in there, you know, they took a lot of pride in the minutes they got, and that was great to see.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about them not losing a conference game last year, and of course falling to East earlier in the season. It seemed like senior John Bryant really took that to heart. He had 23 points for the game. He had 16 in the first quarter. You know, he really came out with a high motor.
Well, it was one of those games where we did a good job executing, finding space, and doing those types of things, but we just made shots. You know, and you can run things correctly, you can space the floor, you can move, but if you're not putting the ball in the hole, it doesn't make as big of a difference. And we were able to find the right guys, and they were able to get the job done. And John is a competitor. You know, he certainly didn't want to lose the game to East up there. None of those guys did.
Yeah.
And being as part of a program and a system that we've had in the past few years, there's a lot of pride that goes along with that. And you know, that kind of took a hit on our pride when we lost that game. So they wanted to come back and make sure that we came out and were absolutely focused and gave the effort that we could.
Yeah. But moving forward into this week, you know, you have Seymour coming in on Tuesday night. They give you guys a good game for a half. You know, they have some guys that can shoot it outside. What is it that Chris Poore is going to have to do to make sure that they don't get those open looks outside?
Well, for the game that we had down there, they shot an unbelievably well from the three in the first half. 39 points in the first half is not something that I want to repeat in any game.
Yeah.
And you know, the focus will be, just like it was to Morristown East, is to limit their clean looks. Don't give them anything easy. If you do that and establish that presence early, it's going to make it harder on them to score buckets in the game. Similar to last night in the regard that they didn't get any open shots in the first half, when we went to Morristown East, they got 2 or 3 just uncontested threes that they were able to get a little bit of confidence. Seymour did the very same thing. They were able to get down the floor and make shots and turn it into a ball game at halftime. You know, and anytime we give up that many points in the first half, anything can happen. And that's not something we want to repeat. So from our perspective, we're going to focus on the defensive end of just going out and gritting it out and getting defensive stops and establishing that early in the game.
When Cobb County comes to town on Friday night, seems like a much improved team. They ran off. They won 4 in a row back last week or so. Almost got Seymour last night. They came up just short of Seymour last night. What is the challenge for Jefferson County on Friday night against Cobb County?
Well, Cobb County is a dangerous team to face because they have guys that can shoot it, guys that can score, and you know, it's a pretty athletic team. And if you get caught up into the shooting game with them, you know, it can go either way. And Cobb County can give you a great performance. Last time we played them at their place was a tough game, and they were shorthanded from Jeddick. He didn't get to play that game. So I know he's going to be fired up. The team's going to be fired up. They're going to come in and try to keep their confidence moving forward and build off of the positives in our last meeting. Yeah. So we've got to, again, you know, try and not give them anything easy from the outside and then be physical on the inside and make sure that we establish and control that aspect of the game.
Yeah, you know, it's the borderline rivalry with Cobb County. It always seems like there's something strange that happens in that game every time the two teams meet. You know, it doesn't really matter what the records are when Jefferson County and Cobb County meet. The kids know one another through either travel ball or growing up together.
We're playing on the same team.
Playing on the same team, exactly. You know, how is it as a coach when you do have that rivalry game that just seems like, listen, we're going to get something different with this game than we do the rest of the games?
Right. Well, you know, the group of guys that we have guys they know on almost every team they play. And the group of guys that we have right now are also a group of guys that want to compete and beat those guys, you know, for a lot of different reasons. But when we go into a game such as Cobb County, you know, Cobb County's going to have that extra edge of trying to come in and upset you and wanting to do that. And they're a team that is capable of scoring. And anytime you have a team that can score, it's going to be a tough night of getting those stops. So our guys are going to compete. They're going to go out there and they're going to fight. And that's something I don't have to worry about. So I know we're giving that effort. And, you know, let the game take care of itself.
But moving forward, you know, as tournament time inches closer and closer, you know, we're getting down toward the end of the regular season. What is it about tournament time that just, there's a whole different feeling from the rest of the season?
Well, that's the nature of the sport. You know, basketball is a sport that's made for the postseason. The storybook runs at the end of the year, the Cinderella teams, the teams surprisingly peaking at the right time. And there's a lot that goes into that because anything can happen in tournament time. That's why it's so important for us to get one of the top 2 spots in our league, so that we're guaranteed a region berth, regardless of what happens in the first round of the district tournament. Now, you obviously want to have a good showing and get a good seed in that for a better tournament region seed, but it doesn't end your year.
Yeah.
And so that those top 2 spots are important for us, and that's our first focus, is to get these next 3 games from the conference under our belt, and then go into the tournament play with a whole new focus. For the teams that have survived it and were successful during the year, you're rewarded for that year.
Right.
And for the guys that struggled during the year but might be playing a little bit better, it's a new life for them. It's a new season. So they get a whole new renewed energy, and it just makes for a good environment, good atmosphere when you have a tournament like that.
Right. Now, stepping away from basketball for a few moments, what is it? Our viewers at home, what is it about Chris Poore? What makes Chris Poore tick?
Well, I don't know that we can step away from basketball for that answer, because basketball's been a part of my life since I was in the 2nd grade, and I came home and wanted to try out for a team, and ever since that moment, it's been ingrained in me and a part of me, and I think it will always be that. So I guess what makes me tick is the experiences that are developed and that get to occur for the guys that we have now.
Yeah.
I got to experience in my career experiences that most people don't get to have in their life. And basketball provided those experiences for me.
Right.
And I had a lot of people to help me, guide me, and help me get where I have been able to go. And I'm very appreciative for that. And I want to do that same thing for other guys.
Right.
And it's what I do, why I do what I do, is so that they get to have those experiences.
Yeah.
And we get together a lot with old high school teams or college teammates or whatever it might be, and it seems that every time you talk to each other, it's never about how many points you scored or how many assists you had or anything like that. It's all about the experience of the team. Things the coach said during practice, the time that you got chewed out, the times that certain things happen off the court,
Right.
and it's those experiences that you remember, and that you are truly ingrained. And numbers get fabricated all the time. I don't know how many points I ever had or how many I had in a season. And if I did, it would grow every year,
Right.
which is just the nature of it. So for the guys that are in our program, I think they're having a great experience. I think they're truly enjoying being around each other and the things that they're able to accomplish together. Those experiences will last forever, and that's what I want them to take from this is a great experience in their high school career.
Explain to our viewers at home who only know Chris Poore as the basketball coach, not necessarily the basketball player.
Right. Well, I guess my career started basketball-wise in Greene County, playing for the old Chucky Pirates, in the 2nd grade, and coming home one day and asking my parents if I could try out for a team. And up to that point, they never thought of putting me on a team. It wasn't at that time. It wasn't, just they weren't surrounded by sports at that moment. And my dad had an awesome career at DeMatha and played for the most winningest coach in high school, Morgan Wooten. And so his experiences were able to propel me once I did get started.
Right.
I started in Greene County, moved up, ended up going to Greenville High School and graduated. Had a great career there. Had some awesome memories, played with some really good players, and had a lot of success. Leaving there, I went to Anderson College in South Carolina, played a couple years, had a very good 2 years there, but wanted to come home and play closer to home. Parents never missed a basketball game. From the time I was in 2nd grade, even through Anderson, 3 hours away, they made every home game, away game, and I felt that I owed it to them. If I could play a little bit closer, I wanted to do that. And so I did. I came to Tusculum to finish my career, finished out and had a great career there, playing for Coach Boone and had a great experience. And, I was getting out of it as far as a player and going into the coaching aspect of it because of the impact that I had, or the impact that was had on me from my coaches. And I wanted to have that same impact one day. And, in college I was clueless. What am I going to do when I get out of here? And it was just, every time I would sit down and think about it, I would think about the people that impacted my life and had the most to do with my experience, and it was always coaches.
Right.
I mean, I can remember every coach I've ever had, and that's not the case with just teachers or just anybody that's involved. It was always you remember your coach. And I was like, well, if it plays that much of an impact in my life, maybe I can do that to others. And so I started working with my old high school coach at Greenville, and while I was finishing up my college, and through that, still playing, a lot of ball, I was able to get an experience to travel and play. And, that's an experience that fell into my lap from one of my former teammates who was already playing against the Globetrotters and playing for the Generals, and being able to get picked up and get a tryout just started a whole new experience for me.
Right.
I was able to go to 26 countries, I believe, in 2 years, and travel and play with people from all walks of life and from every area of the country, from various countries, and just that experience took my experience to a whole new level, in many regards. And now I'm hoping that I can see other kids have those same dreams and reach those potentials.
Right. And I was kind of hoping you didn't mention the Washington Generals, because I was going to bring it up. Talk a little bit about you being a coach, you being such a competitor, and of course for those that don't know, the Washington Generals are the team that the Harlem Globetrotters play each night and get beat by each night. So for you to be such a competitor, how tough was that for Chris Poore the competitor, not necessarily Chris Poore the experience?
Right. We had a better team. We just didn't quite put it together at the right time. The team experience that I had was one that you can't even imagine how the whole sequence of events happens. But from a competitor standpoint, my job is to go out and put on the best show or performance that we can. And, I took it from that angle, and our team took it from that angle, that we're going out and we're giving our best effort, trying to make the most threes in the game, or trying to get defensive stops when it's time to play. There's a lot of pickup games on the day before the game. We get to take out some revenge then. And, we had a lot of fun on that team. And the experience was just that, trying to put on a great show for the people that were there, that deserve it. That come out and support it, and it was a lot of fun seeing how different people take different things from the game. So from a competitor standpoint, yes, I don't think we ever won a game on paper, but we were about to peak right before the season ended.
Right.
We were almost there.
Stepping completely away from basketball, you had probably one of the more life-changing experiences. You were able to become a father this past year. And how has that changed who Chris Poore is as a man, as a husband, and as a basketball coach?
I think more than anything, it puts a perspective on life. It puts a perspective on sports in general. And it just kind of makes everything make sense, if you know what I'm saying. And, the experience that I've had, in my short 7 months as a father is unbelievable, because I can already see the impact that I'm going to have in the future. And, there's a lot of pressure in that regard, because you want to be the right type of father. You want to be the right type of dad. You want to be the interactive, the fun-loving, but also the one that does the right thing. And I've had an unbelievable example in my life. My father is, stand-up dad. He's the best dad you could ever imagine. And my grandpa was the same way. My wife's father was the same way. So I've seen it from about every angle, what a good dad is and what goes into that. So I want to be that. And, I'm sure I won't be quite as good as I want to be, but if I can be even close to that, it's going to be that much more special.
Right. Well, Chris, thanks for coming on with us today.
Appreciate you.
Again, Jefferson County hosts Seymour on Tuesday night and Cobb County on Friday night here in Dumping Valley. For Jefferson County Post Sports with Mike Stanley, I'm Mike Stanley. This is Chris Poore. Thank you guys for joining us.